Hi, everybody. Like I say in all my videos, I'm not responsible. If anybody gets hurt, it's just my opinion. I saw a thing on Popcorn Planet. They were talking about Nick Reiner, the son of the late Rob and Michelle Reiner, was murdered in December of 2025. And he was supposed to be, put in front of the judge, and they were going to tell him that, uh, when is he going to be arraigned? He was going to be arraigned, and if they were going to find him guilty for any kind of thing like mentally whatever. But then I found out, my mouth dropped when they said that his lawyer quit. I'm like, holy shit. His lawyer quit. Um, and I'm thinking, why are you quitting? And he talks and he says, oh, I can't give you the reason why, but I support the defense. And then he says, which made my mouth drop, he says he believes Nick's innocent of the murders. I'm thinking, oh my God. They got to him. He either saying that I don't know if he really believes that, or if someone paid him to say he thinks Nick Ryan is innocent, his family or someone paid him, or he quit because he refused to do it because he wasn't getting the money he wanted. I think a lot of it might have to do with money because, the root of all evil, a lot of it is money, 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 money. Anyway, this is my thoughts. Who knows if we'll ever find out that maybe he wanted money and they wouldn't give him the money that he was asking because he wanted $1,000 an hour or something. It's some outrageous price that maybe they didn't want to pay. Maybe he said, that's asking way too much. We don't want to do that. We can't, or they don't think Nick's worth the $1,000. Like, why would I spend that much for someone who murdered my parents? Maybe they didn't want to spend that kind of money, saying, I don't want to do that. Why should I? So I don't know. I think that's crazy that he quit. And the other thing is, when Nick was arrested, the 15th, the day after the murders, that the next day, I think it was the 16th, they hired him. His family hired him that fast, and then he had him say, "Do you want?" He stood in front of the judge and acted kind of weird, saying, "Oh, can you have him wait till the 7th of January?" And they said, "Yes, we could." But then now he comes and says that he doesn't want a representative. Maybe he knows something that keeping secrets. Maybe he knows something and he doesn't want to do it. Maybe he knows that I don't know. Maybe he knows something about Nick's case, or they didn't like how he would go. His Alan, his lawyer. Maybe they didn't like how he would have come across. Having him cross-examine he would be the defense lawyer cross doing Nick, you know, examining Nick, saying, "Oh, well, when he's on the stand, maybe they didn't think he would be a good lawyer to stand up for Nick, so maybe they didn't like his style or the way what he represents with other lawyers. Maybe they just didn't like him, and they just didn't think he would be a good lawyer or a good match, or he didn't like." It was a lost cause. Maybe he knew that he was guilty and didn't want to make him look bad because he was a defense and saying, yeah, maybe he knew I don't buy him saying he thinks he's innocent. I don't think so. I think he just is trying to be face and say that so he won't look bad if he ever wants to, Representative Nick in the future for any other times, like, or if they wanted him to, maybe they didn't want him to say certain things that might come out later in the trial. Maybe that's why they didn't want him anymore, or they fired him and they said he quit. Who knows what the truth is? Who knows if it will ever come out? Who knows? Now there's a new lawyer who's a woman who says she's been doing it for over 15 years. I don't know if she'll be any better, because I don't know if you can get a fair trial. Because a lot of people seen his bet. I don't know how they're going to get a fair. He's going to get the people are going to get a fair trial. In California to have all these juries. I don't understand. I'm going to make a video about the jury and if the people can have a fair trial with Nick, because he's a high filer. His parents were famous, so who knows? I hope they can, but I don't know if that's possible, because being biased, because I don't think you should be, because he murdered his parents. I just think maybe he thought, like I said, that he knew that he couldn't represent him. Maybe he had a conscience and thought, oh, I'm not going to represent him because I know he's really guilty, even though he said he says he's innocent. So that he lied about that. I think he knows deep down that he's guilty as sin, Nick, and that's a bunch of crap. And I didn't like that lawyer anyway. People say he's a great lawyer, representative people, but maybe the reason I think is highly money motivated. I think they didn't want to pay for his lawyer anymore. Like I said, they think it's too much money and they refuse to pay. Or he didn't want to go through the grind of doing it for over a year, being his lawyer, because you don't know how long it takes for him to be prosecuted, and he would have to have him maybe, like I said, I don't think he knew that he thought he would get him off. I don't think he knew that he couldn't get Nick off. He probably thought he could get, there was maybe his family wanted him to get off, and he knew he couldn't have him get off. And the best he could have is put him in a mental hospital, and they didn't want that, or he wanted to put him in jail, or vice versa, and they wanted him to be in a mental hospital, and they can't guarantee, because it would be their jury, or it'd be the judge that makes the decision, not the lawyer. The lawyer doesn't make a decision if Nick goes to prison or the death penalty, which I doubt he'll get the death penalty. You never know. But I think that's a small chance he'll get the death penalty. So, yeah, I'm shocked, but this is Holly weird, so you never know what's going to go on. I hope he gets convicted and either goes to a mental hospital or prison. I'd rather he have the death penalty, but that's not going to happen. The chances are very slim that he's going to get the death penalty. Until my next videos, take care and bye.